Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we're just a couple of days away from the full release of the FB05 meta in the Fusion World card game. This is being recorded before the release events as well, and I know a lot of people are excited for this new meta. There's a lot of cool new cards and leaders, and because of that, I want to just kind of do this day one tier list going on into this new meta. Obviously, the set's not out yet. This is very opinionated. This is based off a lot of surface level testing, and so these are just mostly my opinions going on into this new set, and not as much of like facts or data, just because we don't have a lot of that already. But we will be doing a lot of event coverages, a lot of deck profiles and everything in the next couple weeks. So if you're not followed, liking or subscribing these videos, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. It would help out a lot. And then you can also check out my website, Eggman Events, which will be the up-to-date resource for my current deck builds, as well as like tournament results. And for this season too, with some of the new things I've done to the website, it's going to be a lot easier to showcase God ranked deck lists on the website too, which I think would be a really good resource. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already, and let's just jump on into this. So I've made the tiers pretty generalized for this. I don't want to have something like super opinionated going, right out the gate, since again, it's we don't have a lot of data for it. But we've got best deck and color, so we're going to kind of color code these through each one of these colors, choose one leader that I think is the best for that color, and then go between competitive, which I would expect this to do, see this in high ladder and also top an event. Potential is pretty much a deck that I think has some new combos or some new cards that maybe I haven't found the correct brew for, but I think has some potential and would probably be able to do well once we've kind of seen what the kind of initial meta looks like and we can adapt to it. And then unlikely is just a deck that I don't have a lot of faith in. Even if it got a lot of support, or even if it's been doing well previously, these are just decks that I have less faith in, but doesn't mean that they don't have potential. They're just unlikely in my mind as well. So we're going to start off with red and then go through the rest of the colors. But for red, we do have a good amount of leaders, and we're going to start off with the star deck one. This one's probably unlikely. We're just going to put this here as our first unlikely. We also have like the U7 Goku, which I think that like the Shinhan package that we got for it is actually really good. We might not be able to get there consistently, but I do think the deck is not in a bad spot. We have Beerus, which I think this deck is still competitive. I know that this is going to be probably a moderately big shift in the meta, and this might be something that I think I've seen other people kind of put down as like a medium kind of level leader, but I think like Beerus has survived this long with just how much removal he has. It's one of the best removal, if not the best removal decks in the game, and I still think it can have a spot in the meta right now too. We also have the Tournament Power Goku. I don't have a lot of faith in this card. We have Jiren, which I think like Jiren was like top 6 decks, right? Top 10 decks in the last meta. It was pretty common, I think, as like a tier 1.5. I think it's kind of jumped down to just a potential deck. We'll kind of talk about it later, but I think most decks will have a really good answer to their 4-drop Jiren, especially yellow. With the new Frieza, decks that run that card will not be afraid of Jiren, and that just kind of changes what that matchup looks like, right? That used to be like your best matchup, and it might now be your worst matchup, and also it might be more present. So I'm going to put it in potential, but I think that Jiren will likely be very unpopular in this meta, but we'll end up seeing if that's true or not. We've got the Daima Goku. I've always liked this it's the star deck one, since we have a new Daima Goku, but the star deck one, I think the deck is fine. I think that the new leader's probably like a little bit better, but there might be some kind of different builds that are better for the star deck leader, just depending on how the meta looks like. So I think it has potential, but I think the other one is better. We also have the UI Goku, which I think is fine. I saw it like at the initial of FB04 testing. I think a lot of people were testing out before just going back to Beerus and Jiren. But I will say, if we were playing against a meta where we're playing against like higher, like your opponent's not going as wide right now, with blue goes wide pretty often, and like yellow Majin Buu does as well. If we're switching to a meta where we need to only get out of a couple attacks a turn, I think that the UI Goku can be a little bit better. So we'll put that there, which means that the only one left is the new Daima Goku. It's probably the best deck in the meta right now. Probably like the truest aggro deck that we have that's viable right now too. I do think like the new Glorio is really great with this leader, and it will depend on what the meta looks like too, but I think that this is likely the best red deck that we're going to get in this one. I could see Beerus still being viable, but I just just don't think that these leaders are super they really didn't get any support, right? Like only like Daima Goku I think has like the potential, or even like the U7 Goku, but I think just the new leader is just probably in the best spot. So that's what we got there for red. Moving on to blue. Honestly, blue's in a really interesting spot. The biggest thing is that we have a moderately generic archetype with the idea of like the blue cards that are able to put cards into our our drop, and then if we put enough cards there we get some additional effects. So obviously the leader to do that is the new Vegito, right? Being able to use this to get that more consistently, but if we're able to find ways to do that with our other leaders, we're in a good spot. So all I'm trying to say is that I think there's a lot of just very viable blue leaders, and it's going to be pretty close on which one's going to end up being the best one. So I'll kind of start off early though. I don't think that Trunks Future, I don't think that Son Gohan Adolescence, and I don't think that Vegeta Mini Daima. I don't think any of these three leaders are doing anything that would be necessarily better than the other blue leaders that we have, so I'm putting those in unlikely. For the potential, I'm going to put the Goku Black. I made a video a couple days ago going over like a build that I've been working on that's been a lot of fun. It's not as consistent as I want it sometimes, but I think Goku Black has some potential with the new cards that it got in its archetype, which are really good, which just leave us with these 4 other blue decks. So we've got Vegeta, we've got Zamasu Fuse, we've got the Son Goku, which is arguably the best deck right now in FB04, and we got the new Vegito that is on the block too. So generally, I think all 4 of these have a good chance to be the best deck in their format, but the way that I'm gonna put it is that I'm gonna put Zamasu Fused as the best one. I think this deck is really defensive. We got the new Zamasu 4-drop that makes us a 30k very often. It's very difficult to actually go for game against this deck, and I think that blue just has like such good energy resource like loops and stuff that it's just very difficult to overcome this. So I think this deck is in an okay spot compared to the other ones. I think it's just probably the best one for us, but it's really, really close. I would not say I think all 3 of these other ones are viable in their own ways. There will be a lot of people who are playing it. I think Vegito and Vegeta are both pretty close for their power, and it's just been like the same thing I've been saying the last couple of weeks, where how much do we actually need to put 10 cards from the top of our deck into our drop, right? And the kind of the other thing too is like if they starve us out of resources for Vegito and they don't let us awaken till later, then our leader awaken effect is pretty useless, right? Because it will already be at like 20 already. So it really just depends on how easy we're able to do that in other leaders, or how consistent we need to get there. And if we're able to do that with other leaders just as well without having to make it our entire gimmick for our leader, that makes a big difference. So I think that Vegito is probably going to be better than the Super Saiyan 3, the Goku here. But I'll rearrange these based on, I'll rearrange them at the end too. But in general, I think that these 3 leaders are going to be played a lot. They're still very viable, and they all can take advantage of 1-drop peel-off, so they're all very strong decks there. Next up, we've got green, which green's always been in like a weird spot, mostly because we've been so, I think, tied behind how good Aandroidd 1718 is as a green deck, and if there's any reason to play any other deck. So starting off the unlikely real quick, I'm going to put Broly, I'm going to put Son Gohan Childhood, and I'm going to be putting the Vegeta and even the Cell. I think all 4 of these are just like a little bit too slow. And here's the reason why. For Broly, for Cell, and for Son Goku or Son Gohan Childhood, these all greatly depend on trying to ramp tier 8 drops as fast as possible, and 17 and 18 still just do it better. They still do it better than all 3 of these decks. It does what these want to do, just way more consistently and just more aggressively too. So it's very difficult to actually want to play any of these other 3 decks when this one just generally does what they want to do but better, right? So I think that's a big difference for these. For potential, I'm going to put Piccolo, and this is the same kind of thing. I made a video on it, but there are some like really good Namekian and Piccolo cards that just happen to come out of this set that might give you the chance to be somewhat good with it. I'm putting in a potential. It probably needs to go down to unlikely. I'm not going to try to pretend like there's like a lot of good stuff that Piccolo has, but I've been enjoying doing some deck building with it, and it does have some potential in my mind, which means that for competitive and best deck in color, we're putting 17 and 18 in competitive, which means I definitely think the Son Goku's really, really strong. I think it's something that I don't think it's going to be better than what like Son Goku, the red one, the TOP one was like unrestricted, but this puts like a lot of pressure on like the new secret rare, and I could just be afraid. I could just be afraid of how aggressive this deck can be, and it might just be another meta where 17-18 is the best green deck once again. But honestly, I have some pretty big beliefs in how powerful and how aggressive this deck can be, and most decks really won't be able to do anything if you're like a little bit on the slower side. And I don't know, I think it's a solid pick for what this meta is going to look like. So we're going to put it there. We'll see if that's right or wrong, but I do think that this is a pretty scary deck that's going to be doing pretty well in the FB05 meta. So we'll see if that's true or not. And then going on to yellow here, yellow is generally my favorite color to play in this deck. I liked playing Cooler in FB01. I've played a good amount of blue as well, but and obviously in FB04 I've been playing a lot of the Majin Buu Evil, which is pretty much my favorite deck that has come out of this game. Maybe Goku Black is tied around there, but it's very, very fun, and I like the sequencing for it. So we have a new yellow leader that I think is more kind of geared towards what kind of Majin Buu Evil gets to do, but even a little bit better. So we're going to start off. We have the Majin Buu leader itself, the not evil one, just the Majin Buu. We're going to put that on unlikely. This one's always been kind of clunky, and it's fun to play, but we're just going to put it here in the unlikely. For the potential, I'm going to put 3 leaders here. We're going to put Cooler because I like this deck. I think, well, spoilers, I think Frieza does what you want to do, but better still. But there's some potential. Cooler's gone like some support here and there, and we have like the new 4-drop King Cold, which is great. We also have the new secret rare Frieza, which is fantastic. It's something that yellow really needed in this game, I feel like. So you can definitely take advantage of that card by being, a Frieza army, a Frieza clan based leader. So that's important. We also have Ginyu Force. There's a bunch of new like Ginyu Force cards that came out. I don't think they're enough to make the deck better, but I haven't tested enough. It's not really my flavor of gameplay, so I haven't tested as much. And then we also have the Vegeta, and we also have the Majin Buu Evil. I love this deck. I love this deck so much, but honestly, I think Janemba is just going to be better. So we're going to put it right here in potential. And then just talking about it, so competitive, I think Frieza has a chance with some of the new yellow tools, and it does take advantage of the yellow Frieza being in your archetype, which is really strong. I also think like the new King Cold is great, especially you can go like Mecha Frieza into King Cold into one of your 4-drops. From 0, you can play a lot of bodies for for 5 energy, which is really impactful. So I think Frieza is good, which means that Janemba is going to be what I expect to be the best color in the format here. And I've seen best yellow deck in the format here, but I've talked to a lot of friends of mine who are saying, you know what, Janemba is just the best deck hands down for this format. I do think that the way the leader works, you are very flexible in your plays. You have a lot of different routes you can take. I think it's going to be very complex to play because of that, but at a high level, there's going to be a lot of difficulty to beat this Janemba at the same time. So we're putting it as the best deck in the color, and it's probably one of my front runners for best decks in this format as well. So we've got that. And then lastly, we've got black. We've only got 4 leaders for him in this meta. And real quick, we're going to put Gogeta into potential. I honestly almost want to put it in likely, but we're going to put it in potential. I just don't get this leader, and this is just maybe a personal problem, but I just don't get it. I don't get what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. It just seems like it's okay. Like just the fact that you get like the marker helps you with some consistency, but you're not pushing anything like any advantage that other decks aren't really getting already in it. So we also have Bardock. We're going to put Bardock also in potential. We did get some new cards with it, and I don't think it's a bad deck, but I don't think it's as good as the other 2 that exist. And so we've got SS4 and we've got Super Baby 2, and I'm going to say that the best deck is going to be the Son Goku GT with the Super Baby 2. Honestly, close behind. This was a pretty strong deck into FB04. It was clearly the strongest black deck in that format. But it's something that I think started off the meta super strong, but it was never actually broken, right? Like there were some cool plays with it, there were some good decks with it, but I don't think it like overperformed, at least not as much as like I feel like the Halo Goku did and for the later end of the format. But definitely still strong. We did get a couple of supports, including like the new 3-drop Baby and also the Bulma GT, though I don't know if you actually play as much copies of the Bulma GT, but I don't think the deck is bad. But I do think the Son Goku GT is in a better spot overall, with like some of the new tech cards we got with it. We have some new consistency tools, and it just kind of tempos out a little bit better as well. So you don't also have to like give up on any of your other plays. I think that you get some really good consistency with some of your searchers too, and it's probably just a little bit better. So I don't think like this is enough though. Like if you think Baby's better than Son Goku GT, I think it's pretty close as well. I don't think it's Gogeta, and I don't think it's Bardock though. I really do like Bardock. I wish he was like a little bit better, and maybe he will be. If Zamasu's really good and just having a 25k base leader on attack, that might be helpful for something like that. But I think in general, we're just in an okay spot with both these. So this is kind of how I'm feeling with this. These are not, if you guys are jumping to this part of the video, it's because it's at the end, and you just want to see the end tier list, which is not bad, but it does mean you are liked and subscribed, right, viewer? But I did not change this in between tiers. I think honestly, this meta is not even out yet. It's super fresh, so I'm not going to try to like in between. These are just based off color and release date inside the tiers. So I don't think that Beerus is better than Super Baby 2. I think that they are within the same kind of power level, spot for that one there. So, but best color, best deck in every color. It's likely going to be the Son Goku Mini Daima, Fuse Zamasu, Goku, the Janemba, and the Son Goku GT, which we have 3 new leaders that came out from that. So if that's true, that's kind of exciting to me. Competitive, we have Beerus, we've got Vegeta, Son Goku, the new Vegeta leader, 1718, Frieza, and Baby 2. And then we've got the rest from there. So again, competitive, or these are decks that I think would be very popular on the online client, and also pretty popular on like the end, like top 16 cuts and stuff for tournaments. These ones I would expect to top most events, if not all events, and then potential will get the occasional like top 16 squeak in for these, and then unlikely for the rest of these. So these are my opinions. This is pretty opinionated too, so you guys can have your own. I'd love to hear what you guys think for what this meta is going to look like, and then obviously once we get into it, we're going to have a bunch of data, and we're going to have it on this channel, Eggman events, and just everything else. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.